Shalom. Call Lime La, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makah Kodash, Yahweh being the name of the true Heavenly Father, who the world only calls God, meaning He exists, He to be. Yahweh Shai, who the world only calls Jesus Christ, meaning He saves, He delivers. In the ancient tongue, the Paleo Hebrew, Makah Kodash being the Holy Spirit. Double honor to the apostles of GMS and the bishops, the elders. And shalom to y'all in the faith and the word. True sincerity, Lord, when it says edifying and straight to the point. Title of this lesson is going to be the Lord's depiction, which is milk. You know, many brothers already know this. The book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 5. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. Verse 6. His body was also like the beryl. I want to get the color of beryl real quick. You know, a lot of people like that to be simple and to like bring up this picture, right, of this beryl and then say the Lord was green colored skin like he was an alien or something. No, the Lord was a dark beryl, like a burnt beryl. You know, Jake be having that shine, man. You know, so you can't be simple-minded and think and stop at a green beryl and think that's the depiction of the Lord. You got to go further into it. The same way they be like the Lord's olive colored skin. There's more than one olive. There ain't no damn green olive for sure. And his face is the appearance of lightning. And his eyes is the lamps of fire. And his arms and his feet like colored to polished brass. You hear that? Colored to polished brass. Going furthermore to prove that you don't look like no damn green beryl. You look like a dark colored skinned man. Polished brass. You know, whatever your hands and feet are, more than likely your rest of your body's is gonna be that same way. You know? And going back to being simple, you can't think the Lord is this color that Esau Edom is giving you. No, this is more the Lord's depiction. And that's what Jake's skin looks like. Yeah, you got some darker, lamer Hamites. You know, you got some dark-skinned Hamites, but when you see a Jake skin, they got that red tint. They got that glow. When they sweat, they shine. When they oil up, they shine. And his feet like colored to polished brass, and the voice of his words are like the voice of a multitude. In other words, the Lord's voice was loud. You know, the Lord's voice didn't sound like the average man. The same way white people and like the heathen, they be talking about, you know, Jake. They be saying we too loud, man. We gotta lower our voice, or we too ghetto. This down a third, you know. That's the Lord, you know, with a loud voice, as the sounds of many waters. And I want to get this real quick before I continue on. The book of Luke, chapter 21, starting at verse 21, chapter 19. It reads, For I fear thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou layest not down, and reapest that thou didst not sow. Verse 22, And he said unto him, Out of thine own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knewest I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. You know, the Lord talking to the wicked servant that didn't bring back talents, you know, that didn't multiply what he was supposed to multiply. You know, when you go into that word austere, it means rough, tough, rigid, you know. So that was the Lord for you, man. You know, the Lord looked like a tough Judite, man. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 14, verse 2. Judah, Yahweh, the Lord's tribe, mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They cry unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem, which is a people, before it's a place, is gone up. When you go into that word black, it's not literally black, because we pride ourselves on not calling ourselves black.
Strong's H 6937. Kader.
So that's the word for the word, black, meaning dark, darken, and which is what we look like, darker colored people compared to the rest of the world. I want to get the book of Isaiah chapter 29 verse 22, and it reads, "Therefore this, what the Lord, whom redeemed Abraham, said to the descendants of Jacob, no longer will Jacob be ashamed, no longer will their faces grow pale." I want to get that word pale. $29, Salakia. To be white, to grow white, and we know those words are just, those are not actual skin color words, man. We know that word white is to be pure, but in this context, talking about paleness, to grow as and to look as, someone with leprosy, being shamefaced. And don't get that twisted. You got so-called looking white people that are our people, man. Through the line of their fathers. They're Israelite foreigners. Revelation chapter 1, verse 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, being the menorah. Let's get that for edification's sake. And a lot of people see the sign of Yahweh's depiction, or Yahweh's depiction, and they'll say, you're not supposed to make graven images. That's not a graven image. That's just a depiction, to give our people a better understanding, to get that Caesar Borgia image out of their deeply rooted Stockholm Syndrome mind. Clothed with a garment down to his foot, which is what we wear, the garments with fringes, girt about the paps with golden girdle, so like a warlike belt. His head and his hairs were like wool, simplifying his age, his purity, and then the woolness is his hair texture. Who has the woolly like hair? Who has a sheep like hair? Who has a coarse hair? Who has that hair people say is rough? The so-called Negroes, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Remember, the Lord's austere. The Lord ain't happy right now. The Lord, vengeance is in the Lord's heart, man. And he's also a wine-bibber. And his feet were like unto fine brass, going back to the point I made earlier. If your feet are a certain color, usually your body's the whole rest of that color. And we already seen what polished, burnt brass looks like, as if they were burnt in a furnace. And his voice is the sound of many waters. Going back to the Negroes being loud, man. The Lord ain't no soft-spoken man. The Lord had to speak to a multitude. How you think he do that with a soft Edomite voice? Nah, he do that with a loud voice. Speaking with authority, with austereness, because he's a shot caller. You know, you got certain carnal shot callers on this side of earth, on this side of life, you know, that think they him and that think they're bosses and they speak with authority. So how much more the King of Kings, you know, the Father of all souls, with that lowliness that's edifying and straight to the point.